Of course you can.
And that's the scary thing, is that I'm feeling, instead of feeling that, okay, I'm going to get my act together and do great things with my life, I feel like, okay, what is the next shoe that's going to drop?
Well, I don't think there's the next shoe that's going to drop, but, I think what you're struggling with, you are doing great things with your life. From what you're taking care of your son. You're healing yourself. You're taking classes on your way to becoming an RN. I mean, those are the three most important things you could be doing.
That's true. It's just that a lot of what I'm doing, society doesn't hold much value with.
You have to hold value with it.
Right.
Look at Randy Pausch, who transformed this nation with that last lecture. I mean, you could be writing, you and your son could be writing a book about the experience of going through cancer together as a mother and son. I value deeply what you're doing. And the other thing is what's the current state with your son? I mean, part of the advice I would give you also depends upon the situation that you're in with your son. I mean, how's he doing?
Well, he's doing okay right now. The prognosis has always been terrible, but he has surprised the doctors, and we're just hoping that he will continue to surprise the doctors. But we're prepared for the worst, but we're hoping for the best. So that's really all we can do at this point.
I think where everything starts, Karen, is you have to first make a shift in your mind that where you're at is exactly what you're supposed to be doing.
Okay.
And that just because somebody's not writing you a paycheck to do it doesn't devalue it and doesn't devalue the significance of it. The other thing is that it's very personal how you spend time when somebody that you love is battling cancer and faces an uncertain prognosis. I remember my mother-in-law was invited to go on a trip for a pediatric aid, the Elizabeth Glazier Pediatric AIDS Foundation, over to Africa. And the invitation came at a time when my father-in-law, her husband of 41 years, was in his final stages of dying from esophageal cancer. And I remember she was going away for 2.5 weeks to Africa. And his prognosis was basically in a handful of weeks he could be gone.
Yeah.
And half of the family was saying to her, what are you doing? That's so selfish. Why are you doing this right now? And she said something that always stuck with me, which is she said, I have been caring for Ken as he's dying for the last year. I need to do this for myself. I need to find the courage to go and to do this and to get out of, this kind of, this period of my life for just 2 weeks. And in some way, I know that by doing this now, I will be building the courage to know that I'll be okay once he dies.
Right.
And so, I am not going to give you advice on how you should be spending your time as your son is battling brain cancer. What I think you need to do is take time to take care of yourself, no matter how little or how much time that is every single day. Instead of looking for a job or forcing yourself to go back to work, start practicing yoga.
Right.
This is really a time for you to take care of you.
Okay. That makes sense.
I mean, and if you get, if you're giving so much to someone else and to everybody else around you, you need to give to yourself.
Well, he's actually going to school most of the time.
Fabulous.
So it's not.
But here's the thing. Karen, if you want, do you want to go back to work?
Yes.
Then go back to work. Part of what's happening is the reason why you're waiting, the reason why you think another shoe's going to drop is because you're waiting for it to. And if you go back to work and you start creating that that structure for yourself and that routine for yourself, it'll probably lift your spirits tremendously. You'll have a whole new community around you. You'll get out of the kind of pattern that you're in of constantly just focusing and waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Right.
I mean, do you feel guilty about going back to work?
No, it's just that he often gets sent home from school, or some days he doesn't go in, and so there's a backup issue.
Well, we can figure this out, and I actually have an idea when we come back to give you about how we can solve this problem. This is exciting. No more shoes are dropping. We're getting Karen back to work and do a yoga class and to start focusing on moving her life ahead while all this stuff is happening. Karen, first of all, no other shoes are dropping. You got it? You have survived enough. You obviously are having this handed to you because you can handle it. I love that phrase that God only gives you those things that you can handle. And, I want you to take to heart my point that I want you to start taking better care of yourself and that this is just what you're supposed to be doing right now. And just because you're not getting a paycheck, taking care of your son who has brain cancer, taking care of yourself because you've just been diagnosed with breast cancer last week. Those are the most important things that anybody could do. And there's not, I mean, you should be making millions of dollars doing it. It's so valuable. However, I've got some incredible news. Mm-hmm. You happen to be licensed and board certified as an LPN. You happen to be a nurse, which is the one, I think the only job in this country where there is a huge shortage and where people are needed. I'm on nursingjobs.org, where there are literally 2 or 3 dozen open, flexible hour LPN jobs right now.
Help. That's the problem, is the flexibility and the ability to be there when I'm supposed to be there.
Correct. But see, here's the thing. What you're doing, what we were talking about at the top of the show, which is you're starting to already go forward and say, oh, but he's going to get sick, and then I'm not going to be able to show, and what am I going to be able to do, and what about when he gets sent home from school, and will somebody... You're creating in your mind the reasons why this can't work. And what I want you to do instead is I want you to put those aside, and I want you to go forward, and I want you to show up at interviews. And I just want you to tell your story. My son is suffering from brain cancer. I have a neighbor that will watch him for a couple hours if he gets, sent home. And, that's how much notice I can give you if I have to leave. I'm looking for 1 shift a week. That's what I'm looking for.
Right, probably 2 to 3.
Well, see, look at you. I'm the one that's trying to scale it back. You're ready to rock and roll. But so literally, I want you to just go forward. And your story is so compelling that I think people will help.
Well, that's good to hear.
When my son was born with Hirschsprung's disease and he was in the NICU at Mass General for 4 weeks, my family's in Michigan, Chris's family is in Vermont. Our friends in the town of Sherburne mobilized for 4 weeks straight. We had every meal cooked. Our kids, they had play dates. They had the whole schedule got handled because we simply were in a crisis. You're in a crisis. And I know that you've been leaning on your friends, and I know you want to do it all yourself, and I know you don't want to burden people, but people want to help. If help means you're going back to work and someone's on the call list on Tuesdays in case he gets sent home, that's all that is.
What I need. That would help me. And I'm not good at asking people for help. I'm going to have to start, asking more people for help.
Me either, but here's what makes it easy. You go out and get the job, and then you send an email out to all your friends, and you say, I just landed a job. I'm looking for people that would be willing to be on a call list on Tuesday, so that the thing you're asking for is really specific. We're going to send you a bunch of information. We're going to follow up with you, and as you start to line up interviews, I'm going to get you back on the show, and I'm going to coach you in how you knock it out of the park, okay?
Great. Thank you so much, Mel.
My pleasure, Karen. Thank you for calling in. That's why I'm here, and I appreciate you trusting me with everything that's going on. You're doing a great job. So go get a massage or a yoga class or something today. Buy yourself some flowers. Take care of yourself, Karen. This is the Mel Robbins Show.